Morning, everyone. My name is Krzysztof, and I'm going to present on the energy industry. The four subjects that I'm going to tackle are power demand forecasts, demand fluctuations, Irish market structure, and the introduction of smart meters. So as you can see from the graph, in the next 8 years, our power demand is going to rise by 50%, largely driven by data centres, which will constitute 31% of demand in 2027, and they'll need a very stable power source. So not only do we have this increased demand, we also have to hit our renewable energy targets set by the European Union, and maybe not so much in Ireland, but in other countries that we might be interconnected to, there's an increased risk of natural disasters. So this is obviously a growth industry, but where do actuaries come into play? So one place might be catastrophe bonds. These are relatively new, only being set up in the last 20 years. Their market has grown 6 times since then, and they're used quite often by energy industry companies. And the way they work is that they offer a higher yield than normal bonds, and they have some kind of a trigger, and when that trigger is met, so for example, a storm of Category 5 happening in some part of the world, then the debtor gets some kind of gain from the creditor. And actuaries could be used to assess the risk to price these bonds better. And this next slide shows the fluctuation in demand during the day. So we have a trough about 6 a.m. and the demand peaks about 6 p.m. And this changes day by day. It might be different on a Monday to Tuesday and so on. And I think that actuaries could probably model this better than what's being done currently. It's similar to modelling risk, and some factors are well taken into account, like the weather. But there's other phenomena, like this thing called TV pickup. So if you have something like the season finale of Coronation Street, once it finishes, everyone's going to walk into their kitchen and put on their kettle. And while that mightn't seem like much, 2 kilowatts in 100,000 homes is a massive surge in power demand. And what actually happens in the national grid in the UK, in their control centre, they have someone watching a little TV. And once the ad break comes on, they have to increase their capacity massively. So obviously that's not a very high technology solution. So I think that actuaries could find better ways to deal with this, and also find other phenomena that could be used to explain this fluctuation. And the reason that decreasing this fluctuation will be useful is that at the moment we pay these things called capacity payments, which is money that we give to generators for keeping a power plant simply on standby, not even producing any power. And if we can reduce the margins with which we operate, we can reduce costs and provide lower costs for consumers and higher profits for the companies. So the Irish market has been a single energy market since 2007. And while trading might not be our area of expertise, where we can come in is through smoothing the wholesale prices. So these tend to be quite volatile. The energy companies, for example, Energy or Electric Ireland, would smooth these into the nice price that you get on your energy bill. So say 15 cents per kilowatt, or a standing charge of €200 per year. And this smoothing is quite similar to what actuaries already do in life insurance or other insurance industries. And I think that we could do this better, and again deliver lower prices for consumers and higher profits for companies. And the last major opportunity is the introduction of smart meters over the next 4 years, which will be a massive source for data. They'll be able to analyse how much everyone is using in real time, so every single home in Ireland. And the main advantage from these is that they will reduce peak power demand, which is the most expensive and carbon intensive, by up to 10%. And through analysing this data, we believe that actuaries could provide major profits and cost reductions. So I hope that I've convinced you all that the energy industry will have major job opportunities for actuaries in the future, and I'd like to thank you for your attention.